Get lost, you poor subcontractor.
At a client networking event, I ran into Jessica, the CEO's daughter, and her personality hadn't changed a bit since we were kids. To Jessica, I'll always be the poor kid she can bully. We've been classmates since elementary school, but she has held a massive grudge against me since I dumped her in high school. I talked to the people I needed to and had no other business there. Got it. Take care. With that, I left the hotel venue. On the day of the business meeting, as the person in charge, I was chatting pleasantly with Tom Miller, the senior executive of Miller Construction, the prime contractor.
It seems your phone's been ringing for a while. Is everything okay?
No problem. Let's continue. I turned off the vibration on my phone and signed the contract. When I checked later, there were 100 missed calls from the president of Johnson Construction. I'm sure he was pale and desperate as he kept calling, but it was no longer my concern. My name is Jason Williams. I'm 35 years old and the sales manager of Williams Construction Company, a business my father founded. It's a given that I'll be the president one day, but I'm still in training. Many of the employees have known me since I was a kid and treat me with great affection. For their sake, I want to become someone they can respect. Our company employs many carpenters. Their job is to work hard and sweat at the construction sites. So, they're all muscular and strong, and as a kid, I thought they were really cool. I looked forward to growing up and working with those impressive men. In our area, there are quite a few family-run businesses. Even in elementary school, there were several kids whose dads were company presidents. There was a girl in my grade named Jessica Johnson, and her dad was also in the construction business. But unlike our company, they had fewer people working on site. They focused more on drafting building designs and hiring contractors to carry out the work. Our company, Williams Construction, is a subcontractor for Jessica's dad's company, Johnson Construction. Although such adult hierarchies shouldn't matter to kids, Jessica always looked down on me.
Without my dad, your dad wouldn't have any work.
Jessica was always like a queen, bossing the other girls around. Her personality was the worst, but she was very pretty, so quite a few boys did whatever she wanted. Being the daughter of the biggest construction company in town, other girls pampered her too. This kind of treatment from everyone around her just made Jessica more and more conceited. She always had this triumphant smile surrounded by her followers. There was a boy 2 years younger than me and Jessica named Tom Miller, whose parents were also in the construction business. In fact, his family's company was a rival to Jessica's dad's company, and they were always competing for contracts. As a kid, I hated that my dad's company was a subcontractor for Jessica's dad's company. I wondered why we couldn't be subcontractors for Miller Construction instead. Adults' decisions don't really matter to kids. Tom was an honest and cheerful kid who got along well with older boys. He was fun to be around, and I always wanted to spend more time with him. Looking back now, I think he showed signs of leadership qualities even then. He made you want to accomplish things together, regardless of who was subcontractor or prime contractor. By the time we were in high school, both boys and girls started getting more interested in each other. I had a growth spurt when I entered high school and became the star of the basketball team as a freshman. During games, my female fans would scream and cheer for me. Still feeling like a middle schooler, I couldn't keep up with the rapid changes around me. One day after school, Jessica called me over. I remember having a really bad feeling about it. She was waiting for me at the landing of the second-floor staircase. When I got there, she handed me a letter with a confident smile.
Jason, I'll date you. I think we could be the best couple in this school.
Sorry. I like someone else. In reality, I didn't have anyone else I liked. It was just an excuse to turn Jessica down. Jessica was so confident that she never imagined I would reject her. She stood there, mouth agape and stunned, but soon her face turned red with anger.
Don't mess with me. You'll regret this.
True to the saying, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," Jessica sprang into action. She rallied her group of girls and started harassing me in various ways. They would tell lies about me to our teacher or hide my shoes. It was really nasty. Fortunately, many people also disliked Jessica, so I had friends who defended me and reported her harassment to the teachers. It was 6 years of nightmare, and I studied hard, determined to go to a different college from Jessica. In my senior year, Tom joined as a freshman and sweated it out with me on the basketball team. We'd drink Coke after school and promise each other that we'd work together when we grew up. Eventually, I got into one of the top universities in the state, a school that only a few students could get into. On graduation day, a classmate told me a shocking fact.
Jessica was desperate to find out which university you were going to. When I told her, she said she'd go to the same one. She kept aiming for the same school until mid-August, but her grades weren't good enough.
She just can't let go of being mean to me. No way did I want to be at the same university.
Well, it's all because you turned her down. She's persistent, to say the least. I feel for you.
So, I ended up going to a prestigious school and lived a life free from Jessica. After graduating from college, both Jessica and I joined our father's companies. Our company employs many carpenters, so I spent the first 3 years sweating it out with them. This period was incredibly valuable. I learned a lot about the carpenter's work and had honest conversations, which made me think about how we could improve things moving forward. After 3 years of training, I moved to the sales department to learn the ropes of dealing with other contractors. By that time, Tom had also graduated from college and joined Miller Construction. He'd call me occasionally, and we'd go out for drinks. Our favorite spot was always the same, this bar place we loved. Tom became a senior executive right after joining and found the transition quite challenging.
I'm envious of you, man. I wanted to work with the folks on the ground and understand their feelings.
Hey, there's no hierarchy between us. We just have different jobs. Thanks to my dad's policies, our company has an open and communicative culture. We agreed to carry on these good practices as we moved forward.
By the way, there's a lot of buzz about the new county government building project.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a big deal. Is Miller Construction bidding?
Of course. Our main rival is Johnson Construction. They're very motivated too. We don't want to lose.
Jessica's face flashed in my mind for the first time in a while. Being in the same industry and having her company as our prime contractor, I couldn't avoid hearing about her. Unfortunately, none of the rumors were good. Upon graduating from college, She took on the role of executive secretary, but rumors of her incompetence reached my ears. She can't manage schedules and is always late. It was common for Johnson Construction to be the only company late to important contract meetings. My father, who often worked with them, was frequently frustrated. Johnson Construction never keeps time, so it's a struggle to work with them, became their reputation. Gradually, more subcontractors started distancing themselves from Johnson Construction. Though we had worked with them for many years, my father's perspective shifted, and he started strengthening ties with other contractors. However, as the sales manager, I don't have much say in the company. If I suggested switching from Johnson Construction to Miller Construction just because of my personal connections, I'd likely be told to stop being naive. Still, observing my father, it seems he has a soft spot for Johnson Construction. Jessica's father and mine had a relationship similar to Tom's and mine, knowing each other since their school days. This made it hard to sever ties. One day, there was a networking event for local construction companies. It was held at the top hotel in the state. As the sales manager, I attended with two of my subordinates. Even though it was a networking event, we couldn't just drink and have fun. Everyone was focused on the upcoming new county government building project. Both Johnson Construction and Miller Construction were expected to bid. Both companies were looking for subcontractors and subcontractors. The networking event was held in the largest venue at the hotel, and when we entered, the room was already buzzing with the energy of many men. The buffet-style lunch was quite lavish. My two employees and I hadn't eaten lunch, so we immediately headed for the food. However, on the way, several people handed me their business cards and started conversations, leaving me with little time to eat.
We really want to work with Williams Construction this time. Teaming up with you would give us a significant advantage in the bid for the new county government building.
I'm glad to hear that. While I can't make decisions alone, I hope we can discuss this further. As soon as one person left, another would approach with the same conversation. I felt a deep respect for my father, who worked tirelessly to make our company successful. Just as I was thinking about how much more I needed to learn, Tom appeared with plates in both hands.
Hey, aren't you hungry? I brought some roast beef.
Thanks. I was starving and about to pass out. I quickly devoured the roast beef Tom brought me. Seeing me eat, Tom chuckled and then subtly pointed to the center of the room.
Look, there's the CEO's daughter from Johnson Construction, still playing queen with two male employees in tow. Does she not realize how ridiculous she looks?
I looked over and saw Jessica in a dress with a plunging back, making one employee carry her bags and another fetch her food. In an industry dominated by men, Jessica already stood out, but her inappropriate attire left me utterly exasperated. It's been a while, but she hasn't changed a bit. She still thinks the world revolves around her.
Yeah, Johnson Construction's reputation has really tanked lately. Some of their projects have even been redirected to us. I bet she hasn't noticed that either.
Suddenly, Jessica turned and spotted me. She lifted her chin a bit and swayed her hips as she walked over.
This isn't a networking event for sales managers. Everyone here is important in their companies. We're sick of relying on your company as a subcontractor, so we're looking for someone else tonight.
That's great news. So, have you found a new subcontractor yet? I bet no one's approached you. Jessica scowled and jutted her chin out.
That's not true. We're considering bidding for the new county government building project, and if we decide to go for it, subcontractors will come begging to work with us.
If that's the case, you'd think more people would be around you. Maybe no one's interested in your company.
If you mock me, you'll regret it. Get lost, you poor subcontractor.
As usual, her personality hadn't changed at all. To Jessica, I'll always be the poor kid she loves to bully. There's no need to work under a company with someone like her. I had talked to everyone I needed to and had no more business there. Understood. Take care. I promised Tom I'd call him later and quickly left the venue. The next day, I pressed my father firmly. Dad, how long are we going to keep working as a subcontractor for Johnson Construction? I don't think we should work with them anymore. I realized at the networking event that they're completely isolated. My father isn't foolish, so he understood the recent bad reputation of Johnson Construction.
You're right. They've been our business partner for a long time, but maybe it's time to cut ties. It's unfortunate they don't have a capable successor.
Now that you mention it, I've never gotten along with Jessica. If it comes down to her and me, there's no way we can work together. Cutting ties now would be better for our company's future. Finally, I got my father's approval. I strongly urged my uncle, the executive vice president, to end our partnership with Johnson Construction. The networking event made it clear. Johnson Construction is done. Jessica called me a poor subcontractor. If it had been anyone else, it would have turned into a fight.
The COs have been close for a long time, but lately, many at Johnson Construction look down on us subcontractors. Being a prime contractor doesn't make them superior.
My long-held wish to sever ties with Johnson Construction was finally coming true. Once it was known we were no longer under Johnson Construction's umbrella, offers started pouring in from various construction companies asking us to subcontract for them. Among them was Miller Construction. I strongly pushed for us to team up with Miller Construction. Their executive vice president is a very sincere and trustworthy guy. He's 2 years younger than me, and we played on the same basketball team in school. We talked about working together even back then. My father is a sucker for stories of friendship.
Is that so? Recently, Miller Construction has had a stellar reputation with subcontractors. Maybe your friend's influence is part of that. Let's give it a try.
And so, we parted ways with Johnson Construction after many years of working together. Once the separation was made, our employees' long-held complaints started pouring out.
They never explained things properly on site, and their representatives had no idea what was going on.
The biggest problem was the CEO's daughter. When she was the executive secretary, she was always late and a real hassle. She seemed to cause chaos everywhere she went.
Overall, the criticism was about their poor employee training and Jessica's outrageous behavior. Why does Jessica's father tolerate her overbearing attitude? It was then that I learned that Jessica's biological mother had died when she was young, and her father remarried a few years later. So Jessica was raised by her stepmother. She may not be a bad person, but perhaps she spoiled Jessica out of consideration for her late mother. Also, if Jessica had gotten married, both she and her environment might have changed. Among our female classmates, there were rumors that Jessica, now 35 and still single, was unmarried because she was too demanding and had too high standards. Recently, I happened to talk to a female classmate who had lived in the neighborhood for a long time.
She still can't get over being rejected by you, Jason. Even after that, she was mean to you because she wanted your attention. It only had the opposite effect.
Somehow, the story had become Jessica's bad personality is because Jason rejected her, which was a bit unfair to me. I've known Jessica since kindergarten, and my impression is that her personality hasn't changed at all. My classmate chuckled and said,
Jason, you're so oblivious. Jessica has liked you since kindergarten. She was so aware of you that she turned out this way. It's like a little boy being mean to the girl he likes.
I was stunned. Knowing that didn't change my feelings toward Jessica, though. Then came the day of our meeting with Miller Construction. With this contract, Williams Construction would become a subcontractor for Miller Construction, working together on the new county government building project. Around 10 a.m., my uncle, the executive vice president, and I arrived at Miller Construction and were shown into the conference room. Tom greeted us with a bright smile.
Welcome. Let me show you around a bit. I bet neither you nor your uncle have had many opportunities to visit us.
From what I remember, Miller Construction used to be a smaller company than Johnson Construction. However, things have changed recently, and now they own 3 office buildings. The headquarters we visited today is a large, modern 5-story building. Instead of each department being separated into individual rooms, the large floor is divided by low partitions, allowing clear visibility of each department's activities. The windows are big, giving a sense of openness, and even the CEO's office has glass walls. My uncle nodded repeatedly, exclaiming, "Wonderful."
The employees all seem relaxed, and the atmosphere here is great. It reminds me of how cramped everyone looked at Johnson Construction.
We strive to let each employee's personality shine. When they can work comfortably, their productivity improves.
Whenever I visit other companies, I always set my smartphone to vibrate only, with the sound off. My phone kept vibrating, so I discreetly checked the screen. It was the CEO of Johnson Construction, Jessica's father. I immediately understood why he was calling. He must have heard that today was the day our company would sign the contract with Miller Construction. In reality, Johnson Construction is in a very tough spot. Since Williams Construction stopped being their subcontractor, they've had to find another subcontractor. However, no company is willing to take on the job. Despite their desperate pleas, they're being turned down everywhere. Meanwhile, our company is about to sign a contract with Miller Construction. Desperate to stop this, he had finally called me directly. Tom whispered to me so my uncle wouldn't hear.
It seems your phone's been ringing for a while. Is everything okay?
No problem. Let's continue. I turned off the vibration on my phone. When we returned to the conference room, Tom's father, the CEO, and his executive secretary came in. The secretary laid out the documents, and we proceeded to sign them one by one. After signing everything, the CEO extended his hand to me.
Mr. Williams, we look forward to working with you. Let's develop this county together.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to working together. Partnering with your company has been my dream since I was a kid. After pleasantly concluding the contract, we got into the hired car. Once seated in the back, I turned off the silent mode and vibration on my smartphone. Noticing my actions, my uncle leaned over to peek at my phone. We were both shocked by what we saw. There were 100 missed calls from the CEO of Johnson Construction. He must have been calling repeatedly, pale with worry. I wondered if he realized what his daughter had done. Jessica had been spoiled since childhood, but if her parents had raised her properly, she wouldn't have turned out this way. She was probably pampered because she was adorable. And this is the result. As I silently put my phone back in my pocket, my uncle asked with concern,
Are you sure about this? Just leaving it like that? Jessica was your classmate, right?
"It's fine. It's over." It was no longer my concern. Miller Construction won the bid for the new county government building project. Johnson Construction also bid but lost to Miller Construction. It said that our company, Williams Construction, played a key role as their subcontractor. Johnson Construction couldn't secure a reliable subcontractor for the new county government building. Meanwhile, Williams Construction had a solid track record. From the moment Tom and I teamed up, victory was certain. One day, I was called to my father's office. I expected to be praised for my recent achievements, but instead, an unexpected scene awaited me. In the CEO's office, there was Jessica. When she saw my face, she approached me with a tearful expression. Fearing she might cling to me, I instinctively took a step back. When Jessica stopped, she suddenly begged me,
Please, don't cut ties with our company.
"You should be saying that directly to the CEO."
I did, and he told me to call you.
So, my father thought that the issue between Johnson Construction and Williams Construction was a problem between Jessica and me. This made me feel like I was being accused of mixing personal and professional matters, which irritated me. I couldn't help but confront my father. "Sir, it's true that Jessica and I have a history, and there are personal feelings involved. But anyone can see that our decision to cut ties with Johnson Construction and contract with Miller Construction is sound."
You're right, but Jessica is also a woman in a tough industry. Even with that consideration, are you sure your feelings won't change?
I looked at Jessica's teary face for a moment, then returned to look at him. "They won't change. I'm sure there are people who want to work with her, so she should find those people."
Please, I beg you, don't cut ties with us.
I looked at Jessica in the eye. "You don't want to deal with a poor subcontractor, right? You did say that, didn't you?" Jessica was stunned. I wondered if she ever truly liked me, as people had said. Even if she did, I had no intention of having anything to do with her. In the end, Jessica gave up and left the CEO's office while feeling dejected. Not being able to participate in the new county government building project triggered an outburst of dissatisfaction with Jessica within Johnson Construction. Angry at Jessica's past outrageous behavior, many employees left the company. The people who left went to work for Miller Construction and Williams Construction. Sensing the crisis, Jessica's father declared that his daughter was fired. However, internal dissatisfaction did not subside. There were speculations that as long as she was at home, her father's opinions would constantly change based on his beloved daughter's words. Moreover, they were abandoned by others in the construction industry. No company was willing to subcontract for Johnson Construction, and the company was essentially in a state of suspended operations. This put the company in a critical situation. As finances became tight, Jessica's father was running around desperately, but the stress took its toll, and he fell seriously ill, ending up in the hospital. During this time, a coup occurred within the company. Initially, the Johnson family held most of the upper management positions, but someone entirely unrelated to Jessica took over, effectively staging a takeover. The new CEO implemented numerous reforms, transforming Johnson Construction from a family-run business into a new entity. The house Jessica had lived in since childhood was put up for sale, and she moved into a one-room apartment. She couldn't survive without working, but she had no qualifications or significant achievements. All she had were negative rumors about how she drove Johnson Construction to the brink of bankruptcy. So Jessica made the surprising decision to escape through marriage. However, she couldn't marry a wealthy heir. Through a distant relative, she was introduced to a 52-year-old man who loved poker and had never married. His house was in a remote mountain area with almost no entertainment other than poker. For Jessica, who had always lived in a glamorous world, marrying an older man and moving to such a place must have been quite a hardship. One day, as part of a county development project, I drove into the mountains. We arrived at a place with no bus stop or convenience store, where you'd get lost without GPS. Suddenly, I noticed a thin woman wearing a purple farm hat, trudging up the hill. She looked extremely exhausted, as if she might collapse at any moment. I pulled over and called out to her. "Ma'am, would you like a ride to the top?" The woman turned around, and to my surprise, it was Jessica, not some old lady. Jessica recognized me immediately, her face a mix of shock and anger.
What are you doing here? Did you come all this way just to mock me?
No, I didn't. I didn't realize it was you. Sorry. So, do you want a ride?
No, thanks. I'm not some old lady who needs your help.
Without saying another word, I drove off. In the rearview mirror, I watched Jessica grow smaller and eventually disappear. I quietly said, "Goodbye." That was the last time I saw Jessica. The new county government building was completed 2 years later without any issues. Its simple, cost-effective, and clean design received praise from the residents, who enjoyed visiting it. Miller Construction was recognized for this success and was chosen to lead a major development project scheduled to start in 5 years. By then, Tom would become the CEO. Tom was always grateful to me, but recently, I found myself being the one to thank him. Tom has a sister, Michelle, who is 3 years younger and works in the office at Miller Construction. Michelle and I hit it off, and I started inviting her out for drinks. Her gentle and calm personality soothed my nerves after a long day at work. Over time, I began to want to be with her more and seriously started thinking about marriage. However, since Michelle is very close to her brother, I knew I needed to talk to Tom first. This is proving to be a tougher task than confessing my feelings to Michelle, and I'm already worried about how to start the conversation.